All right. First off, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on wherever everybody is located. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share some of my opinions in this community today. I've heard a lot about the open service community from Lisa, but Fridays are still my meeting days, so I usually miss out on the opportunity to attend the sessions, but so glad that I'm here. And just like Lisa mentioned to me, you guys are a fun bunch, and let's explore the fun together. So my topic for the day is AI is changing service management. Of course it is, but are we asking the right questions? So it's not only about the fact that what is changing, it is also about our perception on what we expect to change or what we would want to change. And most of us, considering the experience in this room, most of us would have been through this discussion with our managers or with our peers, or even with any other vendors as well that you work with, that let's implement these capabilities. What we have, these automated chatbots coming up, or there's a chance of automation somewhere. The world is also moving towards autonomous agents completely. So the overall adoption pressure is real, because you do not want to get missed out on anything. You do not want to lose out on the competition, so everybody wants to deploy whatever is coming. It was just like when WhatsApp started, everybody wanted to switch from traditional messaging to WhatsApp without really understanding what would the capabilities be, if it would be good or bad, but everybody just wanted to adopt it. Similarly, it comes in with the AI adoption as well. Everybody wants a piece of it. But what I've understood from my experience, or from the companies that I have worked with, AI strategies, they are usually tool first. Like, for example, when comparing the AI capabilities in one of the organizations that I was working with, we discussed that, okay, a vendor A, or a tool A is giving me these capabilities, and tool B is giving me these capabilities. We did not even realize that what are the actual capabilities that we need. It was just that if I'm getting the same pricing for a bigger tool with a larger set of capabilities, I'll just take that. So that lack of strategy has always been there. It's usually we think about just getting the AI product, and we do not think about the prerequisites, the data, the metrics, or the people. And everybody wants to talk about the feature cell, what all AI can do. We do not really talk about what are the core components where it actually is helpful, or where it actually is needed. So there's still that gap. And because it's a 20-minute session, I've tried to keep this to three key points. One is our data, second is efficiency, experience, basically metrics, and third is our workforce. So what happens to these three areas whenever we decide to actually build an AI strategy, which actually is the key to adoption. You cannot really adopt something without building a plan or a strategy around it. And that's where, a lot of organizations fail. You can always deploy something, just hire a vendor, they'll do the implementation for you. But the end result, the management, the processing, the overall results that your AI is going to produce will heavily depend on the strategy. The first thing that comes there is our data, the CMDB story. Most of us would have gone through the CMDB problem. It looks very simple on the outside, that it's just an inventory. I just have to add my records. Those records, they have to be consistent. That's it. But what I really call this as a chameleon, what a chameleon is the CMDB. It looks so simple and plain on the outside, but as you start digging in deeper, it has so many layers around it. You have your CIs, you have your applications, you have your business services, you have technical services. One thing leads to another. And the core of the CMDB is that it needs to be maintained. Process, it's okay. I've designed a process. It might sustain for a period of time until, I really go through a heavy change. But for the CMDB, that's data. Data is constantly changing. Things are coming in, things are going out. A human, or maybe let's say a service desk agent working on a particular CI, or a change manager looking through a change, can still realize that, okay, the CI tagged here, it could be a stale CI, or what is the status of the CI, or you can still fetch that information from the CI. But the thing with AI is that it is not going to think. It is not going to flag that inconsistency in the data. It is still going to give you the results that you're asking for, but they might not be the right results. The problem is our strategy. We did not focus if our data was clean or not. It's as simple as garbage in and garbage out. The same thing happens with the knowledge articles as well. Just imagine you go through a chatbot, you ask the chatbot something, it shows, or it pops up a knowledge article or some content for you with the source to a particular knowledge article. But that knowledge article is either obsolete, or it's very old, contains bad redundant data. It could be anything. Again, your AI is not going to know it, but you as a user would be so frustrated. Therein again comes the strategy. And I'm not even considering end users, even the internal users of your company who are actually leveraging that chatbot, or the people who are actually leveraging that AI capability are going to go through the same problem. And then the third thing is the sequencing trap. Sequencing trap, again, when you start working with your AI implementation journey, we usually try to call this out that, let's just work through the data first, or let's just see how our processes are like. Are they good enough to be automated or not? But AI deployment, it looks so fancy that it usually gets prioritized. That, what, let's just start deploying stuff and we'll test it on the go. We'll see what works for us, what doesn't work for us. It should not be like that. Most organizations get caught in the sequencing trap, and then things become difficult to maintain, because then you have to get into the weeds with every issue that is coming, rather than working through the issues in a much easier way earlier, prior to when the AI was actually deployed. So that's the first thing that we should ask our customers if we are implementing an AI solution for them. Or if we are the customer, these are the things that our organization should know. How clean is my data? When was the last time it was updated? If, let's say, I ask the AI this question, what answer should it populate? Am I getting that answer or not? Do I have that answer in my system or not? Accordingly, the sequencing should be done for any implementation. You can always implement. Implementing is easy. Getting the right results is the difficult part. Second thing, metrics. We have to understand what we are actually getting out of our implementation, whether it is efficiency or it is experience. The most common example here is deflection. That's how companies usually sell the AI capabilities. That, what, your level one service desk can be completely eliminated. We have the chatbot, self-service capabilities are there. Your ticket deflection rate is going to go high. All of those core metrics that we usually focus on a routine basis. Deflection, first call resolution, mean time to resolve, all of those things. But what we forget behind the scenes is the experience, the sentiments of the user who's actually using the chatbot. Now, in my own opinion, or rather, leave the opinion aside, in my own experience, I have actually stopped using a few websites because they leverage the AI capabilities, and the overall implementation of those AI capabilities, or the overall implementation of those chatbots, it's so bad that I never go to any results. It's just going back to circles again and again and again. So that should not be like the only criteria when I'm leveraging any AI capability. Again, whether it is for my internal users or for my end users per se, it is easy to get those metrics out of that we have implemented the chatbot. This is the deflection rate. This is the mean time to resolve. No, it should not end there. I should also include those capabilities such as sentiment analysis. I should have efficient measures to calculate the XLAs as well. It doesn't just end with the SLAs. And again, the AI capabilities today, they come in with all of this. They not only show me that, these are the core metrics that you're trying to resolve, how has the user sentiment been? There are certain capabilities which can also predict the overall anxiety that the user went through. You can, of course, if you're using something very simple today, you can add that as your survey as well. How was your experience, right? That's what we do. The same thing we have to do with our AI capabilities as well. And again, all of these components, they again should be a part of your implementation. Though the world is heading towards autonomous AIs, the AI agents can think independently, they can act like a human in play. All of those things, they're good to sell. But still, we are the ones who are actually deploying it. We are the ones who are actually preparing the AI agent as well. So all of those capabilities should be kept in mind before we implement or before we deploy any of these. Of course, the smaller AI agents, or the smaller vendors who are very new in the AI game, they have limited capabilities at play. But as an organization or as users, we should understand that these are the capabilities which are equally essential. So either way, we should have efficient measures to calculate the XLAs, or overall, the user sentiment analysis should be done in order to understand if our capabilities, or if our AI investment is worth it or not. There is absolutely no sense in losing out on users or getting frustrated users if I have replaced a human instead of an AI chatbot, or any of those capabilities. So both of these, efficiency and experience, again, they become core component of our AI strategy. It's not just that because I can pay for a capability, I just go ahead and I implement it. Third thing, the often ignored one, is the workforce. So, what happens to the humans in a human-less service desk? We do talk about, again, like I mentioned, whenever we talk about the AI capabilities, we always talk about the fact that what are the features that it is going to bring in. We talk about the fact that yes, we have autonomous agents at play. They can completely replace your L1, they can completely replace your service desk. And that's what has been happening today as well, right? It's not something that we are not aware of. But then what we do not think about, or what we do not strategize about, is what happens to the people who are actually in this entry level roles. Some companies, they say that we are reskilling our staff. Most of them, they do it as well. But then there are the others who are not. And for many of us, I cannot really speak for all of you, but like based on my experience as well, I was into an L1 role when I started my career, and I naturally progressed my way through it. So if there is no L1, you cannot really have a natural progression towards L2 roles or towards mid-tier roles. And companies have started realizing these gaps. Even the bigger giants, Amazon, a few days earlier, they mentioned that, we are having a shortage of uh, mid senior engineers, like, the people who actually used to monitor the junior engineers. So they are trying to introduce more talent at that mid senior level as well. Because why? They decided that all the junior engineers could be replaced by Claude, or any other AI capabilities, and they started eliminating those positions. Now there was nobody who could actually progress into that role. So let's say there was a gap of 2 or 3 levels in between, and there was a shortage of talent, and they decided to re-recruit certain talent. And that is going to happen if we do not strategize well. And again, if we go back to thinking as to what are the areas in which these autonomous agents or AI can actually help, we still need those humans in the loop. There are certain areas where human intervention is necessary, human approval is necessary. There are AI stewards which are needed in certain roles, and there are people who would actually be maintaining this. So reskilling becomes an important part. Let's say I have 15 people working in the service desk. Of course, there are certain people who could be retrained. There are certain people who could be skilled in leveraging these AI capabilities in different roles. And then we can talk about the remainder where where we actually have to see where the workforce is getting impacted. So this is a discussion, just like what I mentioned in the beginning. AI deployment looks very fancy, so everybody just wants to go ahead and implement it, but nobody realizes the gaps, or the shortfalls of implementing it directly. What we have to do is, when we implement something, we always have to strategize it in a way that we are preparing ourselves for success, rather than just leaving in between processes, data, or overall our workforce as well. So, three questions, again, the basic ones. What data is my AI going to use? When was it actually verified? So you have to constantly audit your CMDB, your knowledge bases in general as well as a best practice. But prior to any AI implementation, that should be key. That should be a non-negotiable action. What outcomes are we optimizing for, whether it is speed or whether it is satisfaction? In an ideal world, you need both. Your SLAs shouldn't be the only measure of tracking if you're successful or not. You need those XLAs in one form or the other. Who on my team needs to upskill? What's our plan for them? Of course, for this point three, it's not just a technical aspect that we have to look into. There are a lot of human related aspects as well that we need to look into. But every rollout, every AI rollout can accommodate for, reskilling, upskilling, or inclusion of certain degree of workspace. I cannot say that it could be 100%. If it would have been 100%, that investment would have been worth it. But AI can always be leveraged to, to accelerate the work of the people or the accelerate the my workforce, improve their overall experience rather than replacing them directly. Based on those three actions, prior to me doing an AI implementation, let's say I don't know when my organization is going to implement AI, I can still do experimentation around these three areas. I can do a random knowledge spot check. I can pull out some of the most commonly used articles and see how valid those articles are. Let's say a chatbot was supposed to give me the answers to a particular question, and it pulls out this knowledge article. Does this knowledge article make sense or not? Similarly, in your survey, before you actually implement a chatbot, just understand, your overall user sentiments in terms of a survey. We already send the CSAT surveys. We can add one or two questions in there as well, though we usually do. Like, it has become more common where we add those emojis in order to understand how easy for it was it for the user to get their issue resolved or not. But try to add in more questions in order to understand how did your workforce work out as well. And then, of course, at the end of the day, when we talk about workforce replacement, there are certain things that we can leverage, there are certain things that we can use in play, and we can make it a balanced replacement rather than, a full wipeout and replacing the entire workforce or the entire L1 by the AI capabilities. That's it from my side. Thank you very much. Any questions? I can open the room for questions now. I can stop sharing. Here is the QR code for my LinkedIn, just in case if anybody wants to connect. And that's it.